Hello there and welcome. In this video I will go in 7 steps over my new Eldritch Oathsworn build that I want to introduce to you in this video. The first step is a summary, and then we move over all the other different things that you ought to know to make this build work for you and adapt it to your own liking. So first up, it's a Oath of Harmony build, so we have this one going and we're very focused on getting control on free cities. We also focus a lot on the Rally of the Lieges and a robust and balanced lineup to gain control via crowd control, hard to kill units, and flexibility over the board because we have a lot of different things to choose from. Paired with a solid backline, we have really a pretty solid build here. I enjoyed this a lot. So let's move on over to number 2, racial and cultural traits. I went here for a general package of higher accuracy via keen-sighted, strong for some more damage, and hardy for some more robustness. This is a nice package that will please practically everybody. It's a jack of all trades thing, and feel free to specialize if you feel like you want to go into a part of the identity of this build harder. Overall, we will use these traits for our cultural units and for heroes, and since we're rolling a lot of Rally of the Lieges troops, we might end up not using these too much. That's why I held them so generalistic. Cultural, I went on over for the full order package. We go for chosen uniters, so we get extra income from vassals. The Oath of Harmony gives us extra goodwill on the free cities. So we start with 100+ relationship. We vassalize them faster and such things, which is really powerful. And I'll combine that with Banlords. So we have 2 times as often Rally of the Lieges. And we have the city uncovered from the get-go. Here's the interesting mechanic here. The reveal of the free city is also meaning that you know which direction you don't need to explore early on. This is very powerful and has long-term uses because twice as often means you can invest into this mechanic quickly and get a lot of cheap troops out of it. All Rally of the Lieges troops are generally a little bit cheaper. I would not recommend to change much about this because it's really a wicked combo on itself. Now, let's talk tomes. We're starting out with Tome of Evocation to get ourselves some more oomph behind our troops. Our entire Tier 2 roster enjoys Lightning Focus. Lightning Blades goes into everything except for our Tier 3 Archers. Fulmination and Lightning Torrent are useful tools to just deal with enemies on the map and in the battlefield. And Evokers are an AoE variant if you are not happy with the Seal Bearers of your own culture, which are very strict and good single target damage dealers. The Storm Spirits are really pleasant to have because I find it always good to have early access to a Shock Trooper. Tentacle comes next, which brings us Constricting Focus, which makes our entire T2 roster extremely useful. Constrictors give us a good frontline unit because this roster has nothing besides its Tier 1 units for the for melee, and therefore I found this to be an extremely useful unit because it can just pull away people where they don't are supposed to be, and then they can get nuked away by whatever you have in your backline. Really nice thing. Conjure Tentacle adds into this fun by just bringing in disruption where you need it, and Tendril Labyrinth is bringing you an extra income bonus. City Stability is already a very strong side on this faction by itself, so you double down on that, and it ain't bad at all. With Tier 2, we're going into Mayhem to give our entire backline some softening capabilities. Applying Misfortune onto the enemy makes them hit less hard, and this is seeing how brittle we are frontline wise at this point, a very good thing. Gremlins are overall super useful units. They're just not getting too much love from our unit enchantments here so far, and with Inside Revolution you can get the best of both worlds because you'll have Order and Chaos Affinity at the same time, which means you can use the Imperium skills to use infestations massively. Overall, powerful things, and we go after that, not to Famists as you might think here. That was a trap. I tried it out, but it didn't work out affinity-wise. The better choice here, in my humble opinion, is Doom Herald. It brings us various bonuses. Joy Siphoners will only work for our own cultural units, but since our own cultural units are the best backliners we can get, so why not do this? This is really useful, and cruel weaponry, on the other hand, is then applicable on everything we might draft out of the Rally of the Legions and gives us a good smackdown on enemies whose morale is already ruined. With Prelude of Doom and Cause Despair, we have the options to apply that onto the enemy. I'm a little bit torn on the Banshees. I think they are pretty good for this build insofar as we are already rocking a lot of battle mages, and yeah, they serve their place here. I'm personally a very big fan of the Doom Depth Trench. The city stability minus here is laughable for our build-up. We can easily soak that and reap the rewards and be an evil build henceforth. But I mean, we're Eldritch after all, so that doesn't come as a big surprise. After this, we go into Tome of Corruption. To get access to the Umbral Mistresses, you gotta rush that apex of the Wizard Tower though, so you might choose the Tome of Amplification instead first, but more about that in a hot minute. Corruption gives us Gloomstrider, which is one heck of a big transmutation. The Curse Eater is massive because it will make your species extremely robust against negative status effects. You gotta be checking out if you want this one though, or later down the road the other major racial transformation that we have available, because this build has actually freedom to choose. In the Tome of Corruption, we mostly gain battlefield and magic strategic tools. Therefore, I would totally consider picking up the Tome of Amplification as your first tier 3, because it gives you again more punching power, and most of the time this is more interesting. Amplified Arrows is just really nice because it goes into our tier 3 archers, which get a lot of benefit out of that. Frenzying Focus goes into basically everything which shoots besides our archers. Astral Blood, really nice stuff. Amplify Minds here, again, we can soak the penalty of that so easily. And yeah, this is our tier 3. On tier 4, we're able to dive into Calamity because our affinities allow us to, and that makes us so much stronger. We have now access to a real tier 5 unit, we have cursed armors to make the things that are weak on our end even stronger, and we gain a big plethora of different frontline units here. The Ogre and the Accursed Blade give us more resilience, which we really need for the late game. After that, you can go into Astral Convergence or any other Astral Tome. Personally, I can have a hard time deciding between Teleportation and Astral Convergence at this point. If you don't want to go for the Astral Attunement, which is absolutely fair because I find it not that much of a stupidly powerful transformation, if you skip out on that entirely, I find Teleportation also a very valid choice due to its massive strategic value. But either way, since Archmage is a nice last point and the only one that we can reach affinity-wise, I recommend Astral Convergence or Teleportation as your tome at this point. Astral Convergence is recommendable for me because it gives us really powerful battlefield options, and since we already have a lot of interactions with that, that's where I would go for this build. Number 4, Army and Combat Composition. So for this build, we have, for one, the directive: fix in whatever you find appealing out of your Rally of the Legions. It's the very first thing that I want to point up here. The other thing here is pretty straightforward. Honor Blades and Sorin Guards are burn troops. Use them to get the job done, and don't worry if they die. You will not really get around building them because you need to put something in the front of your army. But as soon as you can, start replacing them with Constrictors, and don't worry about sending these guys into suicide missions. The thing is, these are both very useful, albeit easy to kill troops. The defensive strike of the Honor Blade is really massive, as it's a one-action nuke, basically, and the Sorin Guards can shred resistances down of the enemies by basic attacking, which are both really good things, and the deeper you go down the harmony path, the harder your troops get to kill. Tier 2 is the real game changer, so try to get your Tier 2 town halls in as quick as possible. The Vow Keepers are what keeps your armies alive, and I love these troops. Buff status cleanses and a really big heal which is clunky for sure, but 2 or 3 of these guys can keep your army alive easy. And the Purging Blast, I mean, we are really at one nasty bunch. We debuff the enemy and strip their buffs at the same time. I really like these guys. Seal Bearers, on the other hand, are your troops that you want to use if you need to focus down one particular enemy, because they can avoid missing an enemy entirely. If the Resonant Seal is combined with this shot, nothing will miss. That's the main takeaway here. I gotta say, I personally prefer Evokers 90% of the time, but they get the job done and they ain't bad at all. And the Constrictors, like I said, they are your bread and butter frontliner until you get something better. And they are mostly meant to pull away stuff that threatens your backline or free up troops that want to that can't shoot because their zone of control is breached. This is really nasty because you can basically kill off whatever you need. And combat wise, it is very important to note though that this is a build that lives with some losses early on, and it becomes more and more neglectable the later the game goes, as the quality of your rallied troops becomes better and better. You will get so many rallied troops, therefore you want to keep an eye out on that and obviously put your Whispering Stones into those free cities wherever you can. So, which brings me nicely to number 5, Cities and Imperium. Cities are, for this build, easy to build altogether, because we have plentiful access to different good things. You will have access, not to the Feywater Pond, but to the Doom Depth Trench. Therefore, one research post is guaranteed. And the other one, if you set down your cities smartly, you have a guaranteed academy everywhere, which is pretty nice. Oh, I'm sorry, the Doom Depth Trench is a conduit. I knew I was wrong there. Either way, research might be not the best, not the strongest suit, but so is mana. And mana is always a really nice thing. Your cities are really good at being stable, and therefore, how to put it, I love building up my Harmony cities with this faction because it's just so easy pickings. You can delay the building of the tavern, and you can totally rush into things because you don't need to worry that much about city stability. This build racks up so much city stability left and right. I would recommend, though, to go a little bit heavier into the production point investments here, because you can tinker up your cities quite fairly fast. When it comes down to the affinities, this build is a blast too. We are lacking mostly nature and materium. We have only enough nature to get cities down faster, which is more of a mid-game thing. But what we are really good at is utilizing infestations that also fairly early-ish. The order side, which is the way more important one, comes very early. Use this to get yourself a very quick vassal. And after that, you have plentiful access to Astral, which will make your casting and your research more effective, which is super important and powerful, and some Shadow, which also serves similar venue, but for the knowledge income, sadly not as powerful as, because we only get 2 points of Shadow affinity, no, 3 points of Shadow affinity very late on. And our first point of Shadow affinity with Tentacle Bean or Second Tome also comes relatively late. But these bonuses come, and we have all the goodness of the Astral and the Shadow Imperium tree to speed up our economy in magic and knowledge, which is honestly said, very powerful. What I would recommend, though, is keep an eye out on mana nodes as per usual and put them into research posts wherever you can, because I personally love to build those academies and research guilds here, scholars guilds. That's what you need at least 2 research posts for. Either way, this build is very solid when it comes down to city building and economy, and this is something you should force as quick as you can. When it comes down to number 6, the heroes, the Eldritch Sovereign doesn't give you that much freedom to choose from. I ran here with a mage, and I deeply did regret it. I personally think a ritualist gives you much more freedom to do your early game fighting more recklessly, because the early game ritualist is really good at keeping those trash units of yours alive for a longer period. The mage was pretty nice-ish, but I would always say put the damage and burst heavy classes rather on your secondary heroes, form of Death Knight, Spellblade, Mage, and you're golden in that regard. But your Eldritch Sovereign serves better, in my opinion, as a ritualist, mainly because it speeds up your early game massively. At least in my experiences, that is the case. Your mileage may vary. So I want to stress out that Eldritch Rituals, the Dark Knowledge Ritual here, is insanely powerful for our build, because we can milk thralls out of the free cities like we want to. We have such an easy time befriending them again afterwards that we can get ourselves really cheaply a better relationship. So here, you just don't overuse it, but whenever the vassalization count on your what the vassal it's called score allows you to just go for it and milk it off, and you'll get so much knowledge out of this. Overall, the Eldritch Sovereign gives you also very good access to crowd control at the same time by using Delirium and Desperate Anguish. And yeah, I gotta say, this is very powerful. Number 7, strategy-wise. So this is a slow-growing build that loves to make friends and get itself a lot of strength out of that and scale very fast due to its robust economy. Therefore, you don't want to have many enemies early on. You just want to clear out your starting area and get that money in to make your cities crank out lots of knowledge and all the other resources. After that, it'll be very easy to follow for you into any path of victory. Once you have tier 3 unlocked, you have one of the most obnoxious crowd controlling units at your disposal that the game knows. You are very mana hungry, mind you that. This is very important to note. I think the Umbral Mistress was on the other side, yeah. Because you have so many good ways to spend your mana, it's a good way, it's a wise choice to have several income sources and rush that Wizard Tower Apex for this build as quick as possible. Because I think that the quicker you can get the Umbral Mistresses on board, the easier it becomes to dominate the game, because the AI is really horrible at handling these ladies. Apart from that, try to keep your realm as safe as you can. Keep drafting units in your cities just to make sure that the AI does not want to attack you. Racking up armies just to park them and have them there for whatever case, if to, for example, sweep out obnoxious people like these out of your backyard, is another thing that you want to use. But I made the experience, if I had stupidly large armies, the AI is very shy of declaring you into an early war, so it does pay off to invest into a scare-off army of sorts. So that's that. I really enjoy this build. It is extremely fun. As all Eldritch builds, it feels at some point unfair and exploity, with all the knowledge that you can milk out of that, with all the control that you got over the enemy. Can wholeheartedly recommend, and would even go as far as it is currently maybe my favorite build for the Oath of Harmony dudes, because it just abuses their capabilities to dominate free cities on a completely new level. The speed at which you vassalize cities is something else. I hope you'll enjoy it. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, consider supporting the channel via donations, YouTube channel memberships, whatever tickles your fancy. I want to thank everybody who went down supporting the channel, and I also want to say thanks to you for watching this video up until the very end. It means more to me than you might think. Hope you had a great time, and see you all on the next one. Bye bye.